I'm delighted to welcome so many of you here this evening.
Well, this is a great opportunity to commemorate the bicentenary of King George IV, who came to the throne in 1820, one of our most colourful and controversial monarchs. So in the exhibition we explore aspects of his life, his long period as Prince of Wales. We look at some of the turbulence of his reign, the popular radicalism, threats to assassinate the cabinet, and some of the controversies surrounding his accession as king. The most famous one was his unsuccessful attempt to try and divorce his wife and prevent her from being crowned queen. We live under a parliamentary system with a constitutional monarchy, and the interesting thing about George's reign is it's still a time when the monarch is personally very involved in political decision making. So on top of the personal scandals that surround some members of the royal family at that time, they become more significant because these are people that do actually have real political significance. The interesting thing is that we are a monarchy. We've been a monarchy for many centuries. It has evolved and the political context for the monarchy's changed. It might seem that there's still a long way to go, depending on your political viewpoint. But I think the interesting thing about the Georgian period is it's that sort of transition. We're just at the end of the Napoleonic Wars. There's a sort of resurgence of old-fashioned values, support for monarchy and aristocracy in the church, but we're heading towards a real period of reform, parliamentary reform and political change. So it's at a sort of tipping point between an old regime and a system of change that they really will have to come to terms with, or else potentially be swept away.
Is to officially declare this exhibition open.
We're very pleased that the exhibition's been opened by Timothy Benting, who many people will know as David Archer in The Archers, amongst other things. But he's also the 12th Earl of Portland, which is interesting. So quite late into his life, his father petitioned to revive the title of Earl of Portland, and then Tim inherited it, and he's very interested in his family's ancestry and heritage, so he was delighted to come and open the exhibition. We're also very pleased we captured an interview with Lady Antonia Fraser, whose latest book was all about the fight for Catholic emancipation, which was the one major reform of George IV's reign. It was one that he was reluctant, but he was sort of forced into it by circumstances. So they're two additional coups that I guess we've managed to achieve.
It's educating me, basically, is what it's doing, because I was invited up here by Richard Gaunt to open the exhibition, not knowing anything about George IV at all. So this afternoon he gave me a little private tour of it, in which I discovered my 4 great-grandmother, which you don't often do. So it's an education for me, and what I love about it is, as I said when I made a little speech, is that it's a sort of a bite-sized thing that you can take in. It's not a huge, great, enormous exhibition where you have to decide what you're going to see. It's like watching a documentary for an hour, and you come away from that having learnt a lot, or reading an article, a really good article in the newspaper or a magazine, and you understand stuff, and you get bits about it. And he was a fascinating man. I mean, extraordinary. And also the echoes with today, 200 years later. This is his coronation was in 1820. Here we are about to be in the new 20s of the 21st century, and there are echoes. There are all these similarities that go on. And it's the old adage, learn from history, because otherwise you're condemned to repeat it. Yeah, very good.
The Georgians are so colourful. I think everybody sort of has a sense of what the Georgians are from all the sorts of dramas of Jane Austen novels and so forth. So there's an element of that. I mean, we wanted to draw out some of the things like it's the golden age of coaching. So you travel by carriage, it's not yet quite a railway age. We wanted to look at aspects of music. So we have some elements of music in there, but really it's a chance to look through the lens of the anniversary at our political system, the role of the monarchy in that system, and really to remind ourselves that very colourful, controversial, slightly brash personalities are not unique to our own age. Well, there's a whole host of exhibits. So we have all sorts of artifacts drawn from the Georgian age. We have a fantastic range of material from the University of Nottingham's Manuscripts and Special Collections. They've got an unrivaled collection of material on this period. And there's a whole set of supporting events. So we've got a Georgian Christmas concert. We've got a series of lunchtime talks which drill down into some of the issues of the exhibition. And we have the opportunity for you to go around the exhibition with the curator.